And so it begins. So the panel van's been tucked away for a couple of years, so I've got it back out. We've got probably 6 weeks to get it stripped down and organised before the next job comes in, which I'll tell you about shortly. When I say shortly, a couple of weeks' time. So I'm just getting that all organised and planned. So we're going to get this stripped down. So today we're going to get the guards off, strip the doors out, just make a start, but do it properly, bag everything, work out what's got to go out to get redone, as in CAD plating, electrical, those sorts of things. So we'll make a start and we'll try and put as much as we can down on video to keep you up to date with what we're going to do with it. Be interesting to see what we find now. So Darren's on the job, and first thing is still got the plastics on it, which is interesting to see. So we'll find out, it's obviously been off before, just what we look like inside, because the car had gone under in the floods at one stage, but it's looking pretty good in there actually. So this is when you get to find out whether what you bought was really what you thought it was. So we'll just keep bringing you along for the ride as we pull it all down. Righto, so Darren's ripped all those doors apart. Pretty pleasing on what I'm seeing. So the interesting parts for me is stuff like this is virtually no rust. You know, they almost look newish. So when you consider they're 40 years old, so that's the value of buying a car that's from a non-coastal area. So this has come from Nyngan, this car. So things like these, and it's only done 50,000 Ks, so door locks that are in really good condition, it's going to make it hard for me to make a decision, because normally we'd re-zinc those. So it's showing a bit of loss of the gold, but they're in such good condition, I've got to make a decision on what I'm going to do with those. And then obviously all the rubbers and that are all perished and gone, but things like this, the condition of these are in really, really good condition. So we'll clean all that up, get all the old bits and pieces off them, and then inside the doors, inside looks really good, nice and dry, no rust. And one thing you can do with these is just test the door hinges. So that one has got no movement at all. And if we go over the other side, so the plan now that all those parts are out, we'll clean up, work out what we've got, what we're going to use, and what we're missing, and it's looking pretty good that we're not going to be missing too much. And if you watch this door, so that top hinge needs to be rebushed. So the other side we won't have to touch, this side will do. And it's interesting, up in the top here, it's got a crack through the top of the panel there, and inside it's not connected. So that's all loose at the moment. So you need to sort of look at what you got and make a list of that, or take photos of it. We take a lot of photos as we go to make sure we can put it back together, and then we're just putting all of the parts in each one. So each door has got a separate bag. So things like these, that felt runs up and down the rubber, that felt runs up and down the window. When they get full of rubbish, they end up scratching the glass. So in a lot of cases we put new felt on them. We'll make those decisions and we'll show you what we do as we clean those up. So good effort this morning. After lunch we'll clean all those bits up and then work out which parts come off next. So people, that's why they rust out. But pretty dry. Old mate on the MIG wasn't going real good either. He's burning a bloody great hole in the tower here. And then on the other side, there's one not even welded. Yeah, look. And people talk about these cars. This side over here, you didn't even get the weld on the job there. Well, that escalated quickly, so in the afternoon we worked away and took all the screws and stuff out of the dash to try and remember what had to come out first, but as you can see it was a country car, so there's plenty of red dust in there, but so far so good. Some of the components, when we've gone to unplug wires and stuff, were quite corroded, so quite difficult to pull out. So you just got to take your time, work your way through it, and now we'll clean some of that dust and stuff out of there. And then fortunately the main frame for the dash is pretty good. Got a few cracks and things in it, but they're traditionally very bad, quite brittle, the plastics. And you can see the amount of rust on the frames and all, so that'll all come apart now and get cleaned up. And we'll start working our way through cleaning and polishing and painting everything to make it look as new as we can make it. So you can understand why so many people end up with cars that are in a shed pulled apart, because it doesn't take long to pull them apart, but it takes a long time to put them back together and remember where everything goes. So now he's pulling all the inside apart. It's all a bit crusty, but it is nearly 50 years old, I suppose. Every time you go to undo something, it goes. So I'm just looking at some of the parts here. We might even look to remake some of this stuff up here out of fiberglass. Might be a job for Dave next door. So it's surprising how quick things come apart. I'm always a bit slower putting them back together. And you can see there now all of that's all stripped out. And the biggest problem is I'm going to now collate all of this stuff and work out what we're going to do to it, who's going to fix it. You see the heater box there's had little critters living in it. So once again, all that's got to come apart. And whilst it's all there, none of it's looking overly flash at the moment, but we'll try and make something out of it. What's that area we don't punch it? You've done that, Sam? Beautiful. So these drip gutters are taking a little bit of getting off, so a little bit different to the sedans and the coupes because they've actually put spots all the way out here. So to drill those out is very difficult, and then you can see just the amount of spot welds they'd put there. And there's a brace in the back here, so they've obviously got in where they can. So we've pretty much made our mind up, which we've done on the other side, is to trash this back section from here around. I'm going to get Jamie to make some of those up for me, and we'll be able to offer those to everybody then. The fronts come off pretty much similar to the sedan and the coupes. Come off not too bad, and I'll show you the other side in a second. What I'm finding though is as we're working here, be very careful because this is bending through here, because I'll show you on the other side, there's nothing behind this to hold it. So if you're levering on it, you've got to be careful because this outer panel's got the return edge, and you can see there's nothing holding it at all from this point up. So if you're levering too much on this, you're going to end up wrecking the other side of the panel. So this one here, we end up grinding the edge off and pretty much trashing the piece to be able to get it off without doing any further damage to the rest of it. So up here we've just started stripping the paint. Looks like this thing's been painted about 3 or 4 times. Heaps and heaps of paint on it. So just been sanding off the bulk off the top and then using paint stripper. And that way we end up with this nice clean metal underneath. And then I'll start treating those areas that were bare metal, exposed to the elements and had a bit of rust on them, but it's looking pretty good at this stage. I've got a couple of van bits to show you. So Steve comes in and does packing for the parcels and stuff we send out with our rust repair panels. So in between jobs I get him to do some tidying up for me. So there's a couple of items he's been working on. These particular, obviously the splash shields from inside the guards, they're in really good condition, but they will get cleaned up, and I'll show that process that we use on those, both the paint and for the rust. And they had the rubbers on them from the factory, which are obviously all very hard and brittle, and we'll buy some repo ones of those. I have bought rubber in the past and we've cut them out ourselves, and we may even do that. And factory they're stapled on, so I've got Steve to pull all those out, and then we'll use staples and we'll put the staples and put them back on again so they look factory. So that's the inners, so they're all been stripped off, ready to go. And then these are the chrome strips that go up inside the drip gutter that takes the rubber for the top glass on the door, and that glass is actually pillarless, so it doesn't have anything, just the glass goes into there. So they're mounted onto the body with a rubber in the back of them and then screwed up from the inside. And I've just had Steve cleaning those up. So what he's done now is just using a bit of thinners and Prepsol, whatever takes it off, just to clean those up nice and new, as good as they are. And then what I'll need to do is where that's been screwed on and been overstretched, I'll go through and panel beat those back down flat, and this outside edge will give that a polish on the wheel behind me, so they'll come up, and that fits up under the drip gutter. Now the drip gutters on this car and a lot of other ABC Falcons obviously get rusty, and this car is no exception to that. And you'll see here the rust in this particular position here. So we're going to have to take the roof off the car to replace that. But the one we're working on at the moment is the one that comes around here. So where that runs around there, we've been able to get those off. So Darren took those off last week. So that's that one there that fits onto there. And that gets spot welded through here, obviously with a big spot welder. And you can see from the factory, when they've done it, they've actually burnt into the rail. And we've had to drill those spot welds out. And then up through this area, you can see it's got screws in it. And then as we go up in the top area, it all gets spot welded. So he's been able to drill out from the underside, but you can see how messy that is. I've decided I'm going to get Jamie to make me some new ones, because the ones that I've sold these to people before. This is a sedan gutter, and that's pretty much the same size because the windscreens are the same, but it's obviously got a tighter curve on the van one. And you can see on the inside here, this step is longer on the van. So I'll send these to Jamie and get him to make me some more, and then we'll start stocking those. So they'll fit van and ute. So that's that one, which is, we've been able to get it off, so it's a good template. Where the problems come along is where it's spot welded around here. You can see here that this panel is actually only held on by that gutter, and then it's spot welded through the frame and then spot welded onto the roof. If we come in from this side, you'll see where we've been able to drill out from the back and keep this intact. So that's where the spot welds were to hold that on, which is holding this panel onto the car. So the difficulty is where the spot welds were on the gutter, it's very, very close to the edge. So we made the decision to basically sacrifice this panel to save that one. This one's off the other side and I'll show you, but you pretty much end up with something that looks like this. So I've made templates of it, and I'm going to get Jamie to make those as well for us for this car, but we'll obviously then be able to stock those and have them for the channel, for you to be able to buy. So that one there is actually off the other side, but it fits there like that, and we need to have this step correct. So I've saved enough of it so that Jamie can work out how much that needs to step in, and then this shape comes around to here, and then also it's got to curve this way as well. So we'll organise those and get those moving forward, and then you can see there where you was looking at the gutter, we've taken the lead out of here, and it's amazing how sort of rough and butchered it is. There's a couple of holes all the way through, and it looks like a block of wood where they've given it a hit, and then that had lead over the whole thing. So I haven't done the other side yet, because I'm going to do that with Louise in the video, and I'll show you just how we take that lead out. And then that lead ran all the way down here, and I always talk about rust under the lead, and that you can see the rust in here and here that started from under the lead. So next couple of days I'll get that lead out and we'll add it on, so that when this goes up on the next program we'll have that, and we'll just keep chipping away at it. Righto, so the lead that the factory use, they basically use that to fill between the panels. So this will be one panel down through here, another one through there, and then it'll be all spot welded together. And where they end up with a gap, they just fill it up with lead, and you'll see in a minute just how much is in there. And then the same here, where this panel joins to that panel, there'll be a step down and they'll put lead in it. I tend to take it all out, and then I don't put it back in. I actually use like a plastic style filler, because you'll see, especially on the other side and also here, a lot of the rust so you'll see a lot of the rust actually starts on the edge of the lead, and I think that's just to do with the process. When you normally use lead, you need to use a flux, and that's normally like an acidic based product, and I think that causes a problem. So I've got oxy here to use, but before I use that, a lot of people don't have oxy at home, so you can actually use one of those. It will take the lead out, it's just a bit slower than oxy. I'm just going to heat that up. Now you can see straight away where that bit of lead was, there's actually rust under there. I'm just using a normal wire brush. Now you can see that turning a bit blue through here, that's too much heat. So I was thinking the lead was there, but the lead's starting up here. So you just got to keep an eye out for what you're doing. And when you see the metal turn like that, that's when you got too much heat. bit surprised on the other side just how deep it was. You can see there, that's like probably 10 mil deep. Now once again, you can see the rust under there now. If there's that much lead, I doubt whether that would have ever created a problem. So I'll take you over the other side and just show you what we end up with. But I learnt from the other side just to put the leather blanket down so all that lead doesn't end up going into the top of the sill. So if we come over here, this side looks a bit rougher than the other side. So this roof panel comes down to there and around to here and then spot welded together. But you can see there's a couple of big holes that they've just filled it all up with lead and then used the drip check in the drip gutter. So looking at it, I'm probably going to cut this out a bit and reshape it and weld it together so it's all one piece. But the reason I'm taking it all out now is we're going to take the roof off so that we can actually do that drip gutter. So that'll be just a fairly decent sized job, but something that's got to be done. So you can see I've got the shed nice and clean now. So I've managed to pack all of those parts up, and something I've learnt over the years, you would have seen me using these plastic tables to get everything out. I've got this item here yet still to do something with, so these are pretty much just the bits and pieces. And then everything else, I've boxed it up and put it all up out of the way, and I'll just go and get up there and show you what I've done. So we've all got our spot where we're going to stack everything. So what I've done is I've actually boxed up all of the individual parts into specific things, whether it's doors or whether it's upholstery, the dash parts, and then I've put it all together and stuck it up here on top of the spray booth. And I've done it that way so that I can just, when it's time to do something, we can actually pull out the box and start working our way through those bits and pieces. So it's amazing how much space it takes to actually get rid of all of the parts from a build, and I try and get it all out of the workshop so it's nice and clean and I can work my way along, being able to work on the components we're doing. So at the moment that will be to get the plenum off and the roof off, and before that happens we'll get it off these good wheels as well, get all that suspension out and put it on a trolley, and then just work forward to what needs to be done. So with the panel van, the plan is to fit it in between everything else I'm doing. I might be trying to slow down, but obviously that's not working real for me at the moment. So I'm going to actually work on it where I can. When Darren's down, he'll do a bit on it and we'll film everything we're doing, and when we've got enough footage we'll put it up on the channel. So you're just going to have to keep an eye out when you're watching the channel. We'll put it up on Instagram and Facebook as well when we put an episode up. But we don't have any timelines at all. This one's my build, so I'm just going to make it happen when I can, and when we do that I'll make sure I bring it to you. So just watch the channel. Don't forget, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. That way you'll get a bell and you'll be able to catch us every time we put an episode up. So thanks for joining, and enjoy.